It's over, Anakin. I have the high ground. I think every Star Wars fan out there remembers that infamous line from Revenge of the Sith, spoken by Obi-Wan to Anakin right before their epic duel finally came to an end. The part I've always found ironic, as you may have as well, is it was spoken by Obi-Wan, a guy who knows a thing or two about overcoming not having the high ground. After all, it was Obi-Wan Kenobi who propelled himself up a shaft, then flipped over Maul, all the while force-pulling Qui-Gon's lightsaber to him, and then he landed and proceeded to chop Maul in half before the Sith Lord can even move a single muscle. So much for the high ground in this instance. So what really happened in this scene? Was Maul just that overconfident and shocked by Obi-Wan's bold maneuver that he completely froze up? Or could there be another explanation for what happened? I think, and hope for Maul's sake at least, that there may very well be one. First, I'll take you to another scene in the prequels that bears an uncanny resemblance to this, and may help explain exactly how Obi-Wan defeated Maul. That would be the scene where 4 Jedi Masters come to arrest Chancellor Palpatine, who's of course the Sith Lord Darth Sidious. Now sure, maybe the Jedi had their doubts about Palpatine being the Sith Lord they've been looking for this whole time. After all, how many times have they had brunch with the guy and never sensed anything? Still, he'd shown plenty of other signs that something was up with him at least, hence they wanted Anakin to spy on him. Anyway, my point is that the Jedi Masters who come to arrest him should have been ready for about anything out of Palpatine, Sith Lord or not, and yet 2 of them, Eth Koth and Saesee Tiin, died to Palpatine without even making a move. Sound familiar? And Kit Fisto clumsily blocks an attack or 2 before also perishing. Now, the argument could be made that they completely underestimated Palpatine, or that he just moved faster than was portrayed on screen, and they didn't even have time to react. But what if Palpatine used some sort of new Sith power we've never seen before? What if he had the ability to block their ability to see things before they happen, an ability that Jedi are highly reliant on to do such things as block blaster bolts or even fight other Force users? We've seen that the dark side users have the ability to mind probe people, so would this new ability be such a stretch? We also know that Palpatine is one of the most powerful Sith ever, so it stands to reason he'd have the power to do this ability to Jedi, especially Jedi who'd never faced off against a Sith Lord of his magnitude. I mean, just imagine how disorienting it would be to go from having these amazing reflexes based on some type of precognition to having rely just on your senses again for the first time in a lifetime of Jedi training and practicing. It may very well cause you to just lock up and stand there, as we see in that scene. Okay, why didn't it work on Mace Windu then? Either Mace was too powerful or Palpatine didn't use it on him in the first place, since, I believe anyway, he needed him to help turn Anakin to the dark side, which is something I'll get into in another video at another time. So am I implying Obi-Wan used this ability on Maul? No, absolutely not. Palpatine used it on Maul. There may even be evidence of this. Right before Obi-Wan pulls off his famous low ground maneuver, Maul gets this confused look on his face like he has no idea what's going on or what's about to happen. From that moment on, he doesn't make a move and he just lets himself be cut in half. Brush the dust off your copy of Episode 1 and watch the scene again if you don't believe me. But wait, you might be wondering how in the world could Palpatine even do this to Maul at this time? We know Palpatine was on Coruscant and Maul was on Naboo. How could he ever use a force power on him from across the galaxy? The answer? Sith sorcery, which is something we see used in Season 6 of the Clone Wars. Palpatine uses Yoda's bond with Dooku, his old Padawan, to try and destroy Yoda from afar. It is explained in this episode that there always remains a strong bond between master and apprentice, which obviously Palpatine and Maul are, so there's no reason he couldn't have just used some type of similar sorcery to observe Maul from afar and use this Sith power on him at just the right moment. Okay, now let's just give me the benefit of the doubt for the moment that such a Sith power even exists and that it could be used on an apprentice from afar via Sith sorcery. Maybe a stretch, sure, but just go with me. Why would Palpatine do this to Maul in the first place? There could be several reasons. For one, depending on how the timeline all plays out, Palpatine may have literally just become the new Supreme Chancellor, and if that's the case he no longer needed Maul, but rather a different type of apprentice, one like Dooku, who could, and eventually would, lead the separatist movement that would lead to the Clone Wars, which of course was his master plan all along, the one he'd used to make himself the Emperor. I think it's likely that Palpatine had already turned Dooku at this time, or in the process of it, so when he killed Maul it was the final straw that sent Dooku over to the dark side and allowed him to become the new Sith apprentice. Another reason to kill Maul may have been to alleviate some of the Jedi's fears about the return of the Sith. Yes, Palpatine wanted to reveal the return of the Sith, but not how powerful they'd become. What do I mean by that? Well, if a Padawan like Obi-Wan could kill a Sith, maybe they weren't that great of a threat in the first place. Sure, Maul had killed Qui-Gon first, but then he went on and lost to a Padawan. Not the most impressive first appearance in 1,000 years for the Sith. Also, as Mace Windu and Yoda point out, they don't know if the Master or the Apprentice was destroyed, meaning there could now just be one lone Sith Apprentice out there with no Master to train him. A threat sure, but not a great one if he wasn't even as powerful as the now defeated Maul. One other question that leaves us with is why didn't Palpatine use this ability on Yoda during their fight at the end of Revenge of the Sith? The simple answer is it just didn't work on Yoda. Clearly Palpatine was hoping Yoda would be a casualty of the Order 66 plan. We know this by the bitter way he says, "Master Yoda, you survived," when his little green friend shows up to confront him after he declares himself Emperor. Okay, now do I think this is how things actually played out? Is this what George Lucas intended all along and we just missed it? No, of course not. But the beauty is it could be. There's really nothing in the movie that proves or disproves it. Maybe someday someone from Lucasfilm will see this video and say, you know what, let's go ahead and make this theory canon. Who knows? A lifelong Star Wars fan can dream, right? I personally believe this is just a better explanation on how Darth Maul, who has only grown in popularity over the years with his return in both the Clone Wars and now Rebels, was defeated. Yes, it does diminish Obi-Wan's victory over Maul in The Phantom Menace, but let's be honest and admit it was a pretty ridiculous win in the first place. This theory also helps make sense of the scene where 4 Jedi Masters come to arrest Palpatine and 3 of them literally do nothing. Oh, and it's also pretty clear Obi-Wan is going to get yet another shot at Maul in Rebels, and this time I think Obi-Wan will win once and for all. Well, that's my theory. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Is it a better explanation for how Maul was defeated? Let me know in the comments below. And please subscribe to my channel for many more videos like this one to come. Thanks for watching.